And Joe, new polling shows most Americans aren't interested in seeing a rematch between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in 2024. According to a new Washington Post ABC News poll, Biden and Trump both fail to generate broad excitement within their own party. 56% said they would be dissatisfied or angry if Trump returned to the White House in 2024. More than 6 in 10 Americans said the same about the prospect of Biden being reelected. Among Republicans and Republican-leaning independents, 49% say they prefer someone other than Trump in 2024. Among Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, the poll finds 58% say they would prefer someone other than Biden as their nominee in 2024. Meanwhile, the latest CBS News YouGov poll puts President Biden's approval rating heading into his State of the Union address tomorrow at 45%. That's actually relatively stable for over the past 15 months, Joe Biden holding his approval rating. I'm kind of surprised by this and not surprised because Joe Biden is constantly underestimated. But on the Trump side, right, I'm surprised there isn't more.
Yeah, but the thing about Biden is he's always been underestimated.
Always.
We were talking to Jamie Harrison about, think about all the people who said he shouldn't run. We heard whispers out of the Obama camp that he shouldn't run. We heard whispers out of every camp that he shouldn't run. He was openly mocked after Iowa. He was openly mocked after New Hampshire. Everybody said it was over. He was counted out. He ended up winning. Then he's been openly mocked since then, and he was going to get crushed by this red wave that we never saw coming in 22. He turns in a performance that by some standards, historical. You have to go back to the 1930s to see somebody, I believe it was, that held a president in the same party whose governors who ran all across the country won. He picked up, a seat in the Senate. He did better in the House. McCarthy thought that the Republicans were going to pick up 50, 60 seats. They barely squeaked by and wouldn't have even done that if New York knew how to actually redraw their maps properly. So he's always underestimated. John Heilman, this is nothing new. He's underestimated again, but make no mistake of it. A lot of Democrats, powerful Democrats, just don't want him to run again. In 2024, and it seems most Americans want nothing to do with a Trump-Biden rematch. What do you make of all these numbers?
Well, I'd say a couple things. The first thing to say, Joe, is it's really interesting that if you look at the situation of the two respective parties, right now you have an announced candidate, Donald Trump, who has essentially, so far, frozen the field. Think back to 2019, this time in 2019, on the Democratic side, when Democrats were out of the White House. You had a dozen candidates already in the race by February of 2019, this same time in the cycle. On the Republican side, Donald Trump is in, and the only person there's a bunch of people circling, but the only person who has clearly expressed any interest in getting in the race to run against him is Nikki Haley, who we're going to see get in shortly. On the Democratic side, we have no announced candidates. Joe Biden hasn't made up his mind yet, but people presume that he's going to run. Again, the Democratic side is, we think, well, Joe Biden's going to run and going to be the nominee. And the two parties are reacting in totally different ways. The Democratic insiders are all, we've seen reporting on this in the last few days. Democratic insiders are rallying around Joe Biden. We just heard about the shift in the primary schedule in a very Biden-friendly way. The whole party, among the internal part of the party, is all for Biden, ready to fall in line, even though he hasn't announced yet. On the Republican side, we see the opposite, where Republican insiders are increasingly rallying against Donald Trump. Even though they have no announced candidate and other stalking horses to get behind, we now see this announcement from the Koch brothers. This memo that they put out saying one of the most powerful insider organizations in Republican politics, in the conservative movement, that is basically saying it's time to move on from Donald Trump and we're going to put money where our mouths are. Yeah. So the parties could, in some respects, are in the similar situation. In some respects, are in radically different situations. But to your last point, it seems like the actual voters might be, in both parties, might want to see someone new, someone other than Joe Biden or Donald Trump.